Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of From the Desk of Blake James. Great to have you with us with Blake James. I'm Jon Meterparel. Blake, as we round third and head to home here on the football season, got a bye week this week, and then they play at Syracuse, a traditional rival. I think BC fans always look forward to the Syracuse game. And good news is they played really well against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, a valiant comeback. But I think, as you and I have talked about, there's been signs the last couple of weeks where they're starting to play good football.
Yeah, I thought the Georgia Tech game in a lot of ways was a microcosm of our season. Again, and I recognize I have the AD bias glasses on, but if you look back over this year, I think if 5, 6 plays go differently, we're sitting here with a much different record. And, obviously you want to win all the games, and I'm not saying we would have won all the games. That's not the reality. But I think we could have won some games that just said, one play here or there gone different. I think the same thing, came through in that Georgia Tech game. Our guys fight to the very end, and,
Right.
credit our coaches and the guys who put the jersey on. They go out and fight to the very end. It just hasn't worked out this year. And, like you touched on, big game coming up with Syracuse next week. Looking forward to watching them and go out one more time this year. Anytime the season ends, and you and I have experienced this quite a bit, you want to be in a bowl game. And obviously we're not in a bowl game.
Right.
But when you win that bowl game, you kind of head into the postseason with a little momentum.
Oh, yeah.
I think we can do that same thing here, even though obviously disappointment in any way, whether we end up 2-10 or 1-11. To finish with a win, I think would give us just a little bit of energy. And I know the guys will go out and they'll do everything they can. They're going to want to beat Syracuse. Tough place to play, but looking forward to watching our guys go out and battle one more time this year.
Yeah, it's a launching point. Good point. I think if they beat Syracuse, it gives you that boost you need headed towards the offseason. And it will be a big offseason. But Lewis Bond sets the all-time BC catch record, clearly a shining light throughout his career, and kind of your typical BC guy who came in as a 2-star and graduates as a 5-star and will go on to the NFL. So that magnifies what you and Bill want to create for the program.
Yeah, again, Lewis is a perfect example of what we want our football program to look like. You look at the difference he makes every time he's in the game. The catches he makes, the blocks he makes away from the play when he's not making the catch. Just the total player, and thrilled for Lewis to be able to accomplish that goal, and just look forward to watching him one more time out there for us next Saturday at Syracuse.
And more good news, too. There's been a lot of good news lately. The hockey team has been revitalized. They're riding high. We sit here today. They're playing Maine tonight on a Friday, and 2 sold-out games at Connie Forum, and a team that looks like they're headed towards another national contention type season.
Yeah, it was weird at the start of the year. I kind of felt like we were snake bit. We couldn't get the puck to go in the net, and obviously a great Maine team coming in tonight to be 2 teams that are both fighting to really establish who they are. But you look over your last 3 games: 5 goals at Vermont, 7 against UMass here last Friday night, and then 4 at UMass on Saturday. If we're going to put in those types of numbers, I feel very good about where this team's going to be at. And so again, it was good to see them get that going. And like you said, huge series this weekend here with Friday and Saturday night hosting Maine.
And the fan support is always tremendous. I know you love the student support. And that's also with football this year, which we haven't mentioned. The student support was always there. But hockey, it seems like BC is just really it's really revitalized the school from a hockey standpoint with that student support.
Our student support's incredible. Again, you touched on football, and I haven't seen the final averages yet, but I'm confident there'll be over 5,000 students on average that came in per game. Our student support has been incredible. This is my 4th season now. All my years here, we've had just incredible student support. You saw it in football. We've seen it at hockey, and it's one that we want to continue to work with that group and continue to have their energy out there, because it's just a difference maker when you have that energy in the building, whether it's a football, hockey, basketball, whatever sport it is. Our students make a difference for our teams.
And it starts, Greg Brown talks about the goalie a lot, and he was coming off a goalie of the week honor. Luca Cloutier, a freshman. He had fouled last year as the best goalie in the country, but fans love the goalie, especially when he's riding high. He can steal a lot of games for you. So that's a good lightning rod for the program here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Lucas played exceptionally well, and obviously it was great to have Hockey East recognize what we all got to, see firsthand. Just the difference maker he had been. Like you said, you can you can win a lot of games with a great goalie. We were blessed the last few years with Jacob and really the backstop he was back there, and obviously Luka coming in, and he's coming into his own. And again, big series this weekend with Maine, and we're going to need him to get out of here with the 2 victories this weekend. And so looking forward to watching his continued growth and development with our program.
We drew the short straw. We're not in Charleston, South Carolina. We are in frigid Chestnut Hill, but the basketball team is there. And it's a nice tournament for them. They'll be on ESPN2 today, as we talked. They play Davidson, who's a good team at 4-0. But basketball team, tough loss against Central Connecticut, but good bounce-back games, especially at Temple with a big win. Tough place to play on the road. So those are 2 good signs with their last 2 wins.
Yeah, and again, I think they're still kind of figuring out what's the right rotation. And again, this is coming from an uneducated, point of view. So I guess probably be a better question for Earl, but I think it's one where we have I think we have talent, and it's figuring out what's the right rotation, what group works best against what the other team is doing. And I think we're still finding our way through that. And obviously we're going to need to, because there's some really good teams in the ACC based on, what I'm seeing out early. And so, today's matchup with Davidson, like you said, Davidson's got a great history with basketball. They're 4-0 right now. Let's go out and get a win today, and then see what we can do on Sunday in the championship down there in Charleston.
And they bring in a top recruit this week, a top 100 recruit, Trey Beamer. That should be those are the type of moves that you say, all right, BC's got it back. That's something we saw in years past with basketball. GM Danny Abrams, Earl Grant. You know how vital that is for the GM and coach to work in unity. If that's off the tracks, then your program's off the tracks. But it looks like the Eagles are in the right direction.
Yeah, getting Trey was a great get for us. Again, I think in today's day and age, you have to have the high school pipeline still coming, and then it's evolved into you need the transfer portal pipeline coming as well. And so we need to hit on both fronts. But to get someone like Trey to come in is a huge win for our program, and the type of player that I know we can build around, for the future, and compete in the ACC. And obviously we got to get back to the NCAA tournament. It's been too long since our basketball program's been in the NCAA tournament. And that's something we gotta figure out ways to do that. And part of it is getting the right players, and Trey's will be a great addition for us. And then, going out, as you said, Danya and Earl, looking into the transfer portal and continuing to evolve as a program and who we bring in. I thought they brought in some, really good guys this year. We got to keep the guys. I think everyone has to understand in today's day and age, you're not going to keep everyone, no matter what program you look at. You have people going into the transfer portal, so we have to recognize that's part of where things are at today. So it's finding guys in the portal to replace what you lose and to build around what you have. At the same time, you always want to bring high school kids in. So to get Trey to come, out of high school is a great get for us.
Well, it certainly is. And women's basketball will have a youth day coming up. 4,500 youth basketball players and just kids around the Newton area will be there. So that'll be a nice bolstering moment for them.
Again, I talked earlier about our students bringing energy. I promise anyone that goes there, be ready for a lot of energy. There'll be a lot of screaming and yelling and everything going on there. So it'll be an incredible atmosphere. And, again, credit to our marketing team and really Joanne and the women's basketball team. They've always embraced doing something like this. And so that crowd in there on Tuesday will be electric. I promise you that. I've been to a number of the youth days, and they bring a lot of energy. I think there's a lot of sugar that we've helped with the concession stands and all that. But it's one where that'll be quite the crowd in there on Tuesday. And it's fun. It's a fun environment. And, again, it's one where get our women's basketball team gets a chance to get a victory. They have a tough road match tomorrow. I think they're out at UMass, if my memory's serving me, and get that one and then be back here at home on Tuesday for what will be an electric environment.
Yeah, it's like the sixth man with that crowd. Women's hockey playing very well, too. Katie King's got them going. Ava Thomas leading scorer in Hockey East. So much like the men's hockey team, they have momentum.
Yeah, no, and again, finding their way, coming together as a team. They went out and played Minnesota at the start, and Minnesota's loaded, and tough series there. But to get the Commonwealth Avenue battle and sweep BU last weekend, and again, a game where both games you're 2-2. in the third period. And, real credit to our team. Friday night they pump in 3 and win 5-2. Saturday BU tied it up 2-2, and then we get the game winner to win it 3-2. And so, yeah, credit to Katie and the team and what they're doing. They have Merrimack, I want to believe, at home tomorrow. And so, 1-game weekend, let's get the 3 points. As I was talking with Katie earlier this week, and we beat Merrimack up there earlier at 2-1. And I said, what can we look? And she's like, well, hopefully more. I said, hey, just get the win. If it's 2-1, I'm good with 2-1. But, I know she's pushing her team to continue to really evolve and grow, and, has high expectations for them, as we all do. We want to see, our hockey programs competing at the highest level. And to do that, you need players like Ava Thomas. And, Ava's had an incredible start to her college hockey career here. And obviously we want to continue to grow that program as well.
Yeah, she's one of those much-watched players, and you have a few of those on campus. To wrap up the fall season, men's and women's soccer, field hockey, a couple sports we haven't talked about yet. How'd you feel about how they all ended?
Disappointed, being honest. And we still have volleyball going. So, we have volleyball that's still going out there. And I know we'll talk about our cross-country program, but disappointed because want to see. I think we can be better than where we are in all those sports. Obviously, field hockey went to the NCAA tournament last year. Both our soccer programs have been to the NCAAs in the past. Now, again, with that said, I think both have seen growth, and we're taking steps forward. But it's one where we got to continue to get better in all 3 of those programs, because I want to see us have the opportunity to get in the NCAA tournament. I think that's really a bar we should strive for in all 3 of those sports, given our institution, who we are, and the success we've had in those programs in the past.
Yeah, certainly a great tradition. Women's cross country, you mentioned, they're the Northeast Regional Champions. First time in 19 years, which is an amazing number, and they're going to Columbia, Missouri. That's quite an achievement. A lot of people might not know that fact.
Again, incredible job by Pete Watson and our cross-country program to win that NCAA regional championship. Like you said, that's something they haven't done in a long time. And so to have that trophy with us and now going out and competing for the national championship. And again, Pete's done a really good job in growing that program. When we hired Pete, I said, I want to win a national championship in women's cross-country. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't, given we're in the most famous running city in the world. We should be able to get distance runners to come here. It's a great school, all the things we know. And so, again, thrilled to see Pete continuing to build it. Obviously, I'd love to see him get the national championship out there tomorrow. But no, he's taken steps forward every year. And that's what, really I want to do with every one of our programs. No matter where we are, we want to take steps forward. And that's what I talk with our coaches about, and how do we as an institution better help them in taking steps forward.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up about when you talk to a coach and when you sit down for an interview, when you go through the whole job hiring process. What is your thought process in that interview? What do you want to find out?
Well, if we've done our job, the ones I'm meeting with at the very end, really it comes down to a chemistry test. Because any one of the finalists, if we've done our jobs in qualifying and through the interview process, are good coaches. So now it's figuring out who's the right fit for Boston College. And, we went through this with the football coaching search. We had an incredible talent pool and some really great coaches. I don't know that any of them understood BC the way that Bill communicated his understanding of Boston College and Boston and being here. And so, part of it is a chemistry test. And then part of it is really explaining what are our expectations, because it's not fair for me to tell every coach our expectation is to win a national championship if we as an institution aren't putting any scholarships into that sport.
Right.
And we have a number of sports that we don't have any scholarships in. And that's not to say we don't want to win. I mean, our skiing programs and our fencing programs, we don't put scholarship support, and they've been some of our best point getters in the Learfield Directors Cup, over the year, or my time here, and even if you look back before I got here. And so I don't want to necessarily say we don't want to win, but I think as you look to create expectations. I think you got to be realistic with expectations based on how we're funding them as a program. And it's one where in certain sports, we want to fund to be very successful. And obviously it starts with football. And, again, we talked about, where football's at this year. And I know, after next week, we'll wrap it up, but, we need to be better. And that's something that is collective across the board, from institutionally what we can do better to help that program, to the X's and O's and operationally what they can do better to get us, where we're in that bowl conversation every year. I want to be going to a bowl every year. Love to get us this program to the point we're going to the playoff, but let's get to the first bar first and be a bowl team every single season. And that's something we got to work on.
Finally, before we let you go, there's some rumblings about college football playoffs expanding to 24 teams, primarily driven by the Big Ten. Would that be a good thing for college football?
I think it's too early to say if it would be a good thing for college football. I think there's a lot of variables that you have to really evaluate, from the amount of games that the kids have to play, to how it impacts conference championships if we still have those, to how it impacts the regular season. Again, you don't want to go away from having every game matter during the regular season, and so again, it's looking at all sorts of different variables. So I don't have enough information right now to say if I think 12, 16, or 24 is the right number. Having served as the athletic director at Maine, which is FCS football, back in the early 2000s, they have a 16-team playoff. It seemed to work well there. Obviously, I think the 12 has worked. If I look at it, whatever ends up being best, I just want to do whatever I can to position Boston College to have an opportunity to be in that conversation, because that's ultimately where we'd like to be. Like I said earlier, we got to get to where we're a bowl team every year. That takes work. We're not there right now, as we discussed, but we want to continue to invest and build in this and make it something. And so wherever the decision makers ultimately decide this to be, that's what we're going to shoot for.
Fair enough. Blake, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. What do you got on the docket? You traveling?
Yeah, spend time with the family. Again, and I guess I'll say happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there in the Boston College family. Hopefully everyone gets a chance to spend some time with the ones that are closest to them, their loved ones, their family. I'm blessed in that I'll be able to be with my parents and my kids and enjoy the holiday. And then I'll be in Syracuse to watch our Eagles battle the Orange and hopefully bring home a victory here in our final football game of the year.
All right. I'll sign up for that. We'll see you on the plane.
We'll see you in Syracuse.
Blake James. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thanks for watching. He's Blake James. I'm Jon Meterparel. So long for now.